What up, y'all? DCFAYGOGUY. On this day in 2006, Boondox made his debut on Psychopathic Records with The Harvest. So, in honor of 2017, the year of the Juggalo, we are taking a look at every single Psychopathic release I have not reviewed to date. So let's jump right into this. That is the front. Pretty mission accomplishing cover, if you will. Boondox there, you know, what bitch kind of pose. Lots of crows in the background. Serves its purpose pretty well. Not bad at all. Let's take a look at the back. There again you have Boondox. Boondox's logo, if you will. And the track list, which is Intro, 7, Out Here, It Ain't a Thing, Lady and the Jaguar, They Pray with Snakes, Rollin' Hard, The Harvest, Sippin', Lake of Fire, Red Mist, and Angel Like. So my favorite tracks on this. Now, Boondox, I think for for many people, was a little hard for me to get into. He won me over the biggest when I saw him at the 2007 Hollow Wicked in Noblesville, Indiana, when they did a tour back then. And I was impressed with what I heard. You know, tracks like 7, They Pray with Snakes, all fucking banging. I was impressed with it. Wanted to go hear these. Of course, I heard Out Here when it first came out. You know, when it first came out in 2006, I did hear a couple of the downloaded songs, Out Here being one of them. I did like what I heard. I had heard Red Mist at the time, and I was still, you know, at that point in time in 2006, it was all 100% about ICP. I mean, in 2006, at that point, I didn't yet discover Twisted. So, you know, Red Mist, I was kind of like, whatever. It was an alright track, but, you know, Out Here was the one that was kind of like, yeah, I'm digging this. You know, the guitar riffs was pretty sweet. I remember hearing the sampler, thought it was funny. But my favorite tracks are definitely 7, Out Here, Lady and the Jaguar is great. They Pray with Snakes is the shit. Some fucking wicked sounding shit right there. The Harvest isn't bad. I was never a big fan of A and B, so that kind of always killed it for me. Sippin' is great, especially when I was in my drinking years. I drank from the age of 18 until right about 20. I was 20 years old. It was the middle of 2008 when I stopped drinking. After that, I mean, I've had drinks, but it was like wine, and the other one was just a couple shots of some shit that my sister-in-law got. That was the full extent of my drinking from that point on. So around the time that I was drinking, Sippin' was kind of my shit, which I had bought this album in 2008, and so I was hardcore into my drinking a little bit then, but then fizzled out later that year. Lake of Fire is great. Red Mist I did end up liking after I discovered who Twisted was, who Blaze was, you know, when I fully expanded upon the Juggalo knowledge of knowing everything there is to know in Psychopathic Records. Red Mist then became a great track. And Angel Like is definitely a favorite one that I relate to. I've actually had, in my childhood, I've had friends, I've had people, new kids in school that I befriended, and they ended up becoming popular, and, you know, I was the outcast, you know, loser. So obviously I didn't form great bonds with them. You know, I never hung out with them outside of school. Obviously I didn't take these kids to any rivers and fuck them. But you know, I definitely relate to that in that aspect of, you know, new kids coming in, you befriend them, they become popular, they turn their backs on you, and it's like, fuck you. So definitely a relatable track for me right there. Angel Like. So those are all my favorite tracks. All in all, it is a great album. I can listen to this all the way through. I really can. But I do tend to skip It Ain't a Thing sometimes. I do tend to skip Rollin' Hard sometimes. I do tend to skip The Harvest. All the rest of it gets played. So let's take a look on the inside. There you have a bunch of crows and what looks to be a moon. That looks like a moon to me. Take a look on the back. There's Booney. And you got some straight up backwoods photography here. So you got your credits for all the tracks. Newton County, Georgia. Actually, I lived there back in 2010 for 6 months. My aunt, ironically, lives in Covington. She actually lives out in the Jackson Lake area. So, you know, hearing him do his little shout outs at the beginning of Sippin', and he says Jackson Lake area, you know, it's like, oh, that's me, you know, even though I only lived there for 6 months. That was crazy shit. So then you got your shout outs over here. We flip it over. There's the backwoods that I was telling you about. And straight up, the 6 months that I lived in Georgia, my aunt lived out in the fucking woods, man, out in the fucking boonies. It was actually a good 10-minute drive to get to Covington. So it was ultimately why I came back to Indiana. I went through some cabin fever living down in Georgia. Didn't really care for it down there. So, you know, Indiana's my home. It's where I'm the most comfortable. So, but there you go. That is Boondox's The Harvest. It is a great debut, and definitely a good album, solid release from Psychopathic Records. If you guys haven't checked it out, definitely go do so. And I would give this a solid 4 out of 5. It's a good album. It's definitely very listenable too. Even after all the bullshit that's happened in the recent years, I still find myself enjoying the older Boondox and even some of the newer Boondox. So, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next time.